Ladies and gentlemen, it is a glorious day because we are going to be casting the final Gauntlet Stage A matchup here. This is lower qualification number 2, and we've got the Shambler duking it out against Kenoli on Mass Destruction to open us up. Joining me, of course, is Neblime. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm good, man. I'm just watching this draw left and I'm shaken up. So you better do the color guesses fast, because we got a lot to say.
Oh, we sure do, as Kenoli is already scouting across the map, and hey, he's going to find his opponent first. This is little vertical spawns there on the right-hand side. Before color guesses, I think we talked map veto here, pick ban. We've got Mass Destruction here.
This is the lower qualifier, right, for Gauntlet A?
Yes, that's right.
Kenoli fought his way for the lower bracket. Shambler got knocked down by Arbus, so last chance for the first Gauntlet. Oh, look at that collision.
Little dance, yeah. We can't look at it because the map veto's on, but basically Adrola started worker walking on against the Shambler's lattice first. They will be scouting each other very fast. And yeah, so this is Mass Destruction, our starter. Check Stealer was vetoed by Shambler, no surprise. Decapitation, vetoed by Kenoli. Near Impact selected as our second map. Brainstorm, we are guaranteed Brainstorm, I love it. Picked by Shambler. Crisis Vector and Serenity will be our 4th and 5th map if we need them. Kingo Valley and Blackwater being vetoed. So, of course, we've got a lot to say about vetoes. Neblime and I share an admiration for players who prepare for the map picks and such. However, I do want to point out, this is a hatch first versus lattice first. This does not look good for Kenoli already.
Yeah, although he's only making a vassal, and that can be dealt with, as opposed to a sim. If a sim came across, it'd be like, no, game's over. But with a vassal, I mean, you can just make a Spraith, you can even just burrow. The pool is on the way. Kenoli, by the way, sending the first draw left to scout is kind of crazy to me. I don't know what he's trying to do on a 4-player map, what he desperately needs to find so much there, but double lattice up, idols are coming out. You know, even with just vassals, just doing some harass, not potentially doing much damage, how are you going to deal with the follow-up of a bunch of, like, idols showing up, maybe with, like, sim manifold support? We'll see what Shambler wants to make. All idols so far, and they are pretty good. He's trying to hit that K grip, but he's not going to be able to finish that off. Even if he's not
monitoring it. Yeah, the same worker that was under attack was the one that used to make the K-Grin, so the vassal never changed its target. And only now with the second vassal arriving is he... I guess he's doubling down on attacking the K-Grin when there's a Quasilisk about to finish, you know?
Oh, he changed his target. Kenoli neglects to morph it, but he just changed his target at the wrong time anyway. He might have been able to get it, but now he will not. Well, he doesn't even make it. He just makes the K-Grin and he makes Quas anyway. What is this?
I don't think this is going to plan here, as all of the mineral harvesters, sans one, are, well, I guess one at the natural as well, are being burrowed to avoid pain. Well, this is pretty good economic damage here.
Yeah, you know what? Kenoli sort of tried to do too much, right? Because he lost 2 draw left making Kogans against one of them's Lavos. And now Shambler is pretty well ahead in workers. He has a good enough army to menace the Zerg some more. See, if Shambler had no army right now, I'd say this is great for Zerg because he has enough production to shoot ahead. But he's going to come across with these idols, idol sim plus a few vassals supporting that can chew through Quasilisk very easily.
Yep, and the Quas are not even at location to hold at the ramp. They're going to move down now.
Vassal.
Well, one's going down. We've got one sim splitting already going to happen here.
Uh-oh. Oh, dude, this is just going to run away. I don't see how he stops this, because you try and engage the sims, you'll get chewed up by the idols too much, and just give them duplications. He's trying to make more stuff, but Shambler ain't waiting. He's going to go in. No, I take it back. He's not going to go in. Not a single manifold, unfortunately. Could have made a huge difference fighting this Hatcheros, but still, I don't see how Kenoli can hold this.
Yeah, this feels a little bit dire here, and Kenoli is all the way back, losing so many of his units. He's got the burrow trap. He's going to spring it now. The idols immediately surrounded by those Zets. Oh, they could have been cut down. Finally, one will go down. Another one very low with reinforcement Quas coming in here to try to break the Sims. As they split, they are a little bit easier targets, decolliding. Actually, it looks like Kenoli may have held these more units coming in for Shambler, though.
Yeah, nice little, like, sort of burrow flank I think Shambler did not expect. It didn't really unburrow on top of his army, but I think Shambler didn't expect it from that direction. Yeah. So he does pull back. There's more units over here he starts to contend with, though. And like I said, I wish he had a couple manifolds, because then he could really be pounding this Hatcheros. As it is, it has taken some damage, but it's going to take a long time with idols and sims.
Yep. Well, he's having to pay the Piper here. Every time his eggs hatch, it's like one of the units goes down from the dual birth.
Oh, here we go. He's going to step forward. Shambler cutting back. Can do a lot of damage here. Sim's trying to front line, but there's not that many of them, unfortunately. Yeah, Shambler has to pull back here. Still, though, maintaining a good economic lead, and that narrow ramp is going to be a bad time for Zerg. Oh, Kenoli doesn't want to go up here. Okay, he does pull back. Oh my god, should Shambler continue the attack? So many units died trying to go up that ramp. Now, now Kenoli's pushed back again.
Yep, and he only has 10 workers, man, and they're all on minerals, so it's not like he can develop into, you know, mass Hydrith or anything like that. He could put down a Hydrith then, or a Zorka's Shroud right now, but he wouldn't have any gas for a significant army. More Quas on the way.
Do huge here.
Yeah, that's another unit that could be leveraged here. Oh, some of the idols are going to get chipped away. One of them falls, only down to 6 at the reinforcement point.
All right, if he stays disciplined this time, doesn't go down the ramp, I think he's held for now. And, you know, already we see the interesting aspect of this map of, like, the different paths, right? In these spawns, this is the fastest way. Even though it is a little bit torturous, it's not actually that much faster. It is faster. But now he's got this little ramp over here with the quads. If Shambler just makes his way around, because now we have this other ramp here, he could just come up the big ramp, though. That'd be quite tricky. Looks like he is just in his lattice era, man. He's getting a Grand Library now. But it's mostly idols. Couple manifolds finally being made. I love that. I do like the manifold a lot right now.
Here comes the flank. Shambler's rotation time isn't too long from the position he was at. So all the quads get pulled away. But look, now Shambler can cycle back and maybe see if he can stab up that smaller ramp. Not quite.
How is this happening when neither player has any vision? Okay, now they know. Now Shambler knows. But this high ground position is unassailable with that much splash damage.
Not going to be able to make that happen. 12 quads versus 8 idols is not a winning fight for the Zerg. He's going to put a Kagran down. Feels like should have been done a lot sooner, but that's all right. He's just trying to get back into the worker production game. A lot of minerals. He could be making a lot of Droleths. Manifolds have arrived.
I still think he's in a situation where he can easily catch up, but Shambler has been able to get the expansion, so Shambler's looking good, but Sergei's not out of it by any means. I wonder if he got his Larvosk south of the Hatrosk, would it be good, because then you can get the circus on the ramp. I do think in the long term, Zerg is going to have to clog up this area of static defense. I think there's just no other way to play it. You're going to be exposing yourself quite a lot here. Now, it's going to be Cantavis. I thought it might be. Shambler playing like the gas-heavy style, man. He's got the idols and the Cantavis.
Yeah, Witness on the way. His embassy notorious for building lots of artisans in previous matchups. Not any yet to speak of. Would love to see an envoy come out of the woodwork here and maybe do a storm drop of some sort, but the manifold's scouting around. Shambler, you have his pretty good map control here, and the first Hydras are out for Kenoli. He's going to take a stab out over here and clean up that manifold. Idol's immediately swinging on over to put down some damage downrange, and well, he's not going to be able to kill any units, but he definitely bruises a lot of them and is ahead of the rotation.
Yeah, he's still got quite a good army to deal with this, but he is a bit out of position, so has to pull back, but I think his defenses are adequate. In fact, even throwing down the gateways, like I always like to praise Shambler, using that SimCity to the utmost. I'm surprised Kenoli's going up this ramp, because he runs in his army. It's not good for him. Cantavis, will it get a storm off? Doesn't need to, necessarily. He's just going to push everything back. Lost a couple Hydras, even. But there you go, the Droleth count rapidly catching up now.
Yep, Zerg can absolutely come back from very dismal worker counts if you allow them to, and if... However, it's worth pointing out Shambler's had his worker count upper for higher, so for a longer amount of time, and Kenoli's not actually at parity yet. So same base count, not even like you can talk about saturation in favor of the Zergs.
Yeah, he's only got 4 production structures as the main hindrance here for Kenoli. You know, Hydras are more expensive, but you're still going to need more, especially in these continuing the saturation. And like I was saying, Zerg's shooting up rapidly. You're saying he's not in parity, but it's only going to take one more round, and then he'll be ahead. But yeah, I really feel like he should just even throw down 3 Hatros at this point. Okay, there's one. You know what? He heard me. The gods have heard my prayer. He realizes he's got to spend that money, so he's getting on that. Even making a bunch of his cores. So Kenoli getting the macro back on track now that he has a moment.
Yeah, and no immediate expand in time for Shambler. He is going for an embassy, and his Ardent Authority just got dropped. So this could turn from Storm drop into a Cantor drop, which would be pretty difficult for Kenoli to deal with. Another in vogue tactic, of course, is the Positron drop, vaunted for its ability to destroy workers at a record pace.
I can't believe it, but I really love putting the Ardent out here because you can get an Acantor for the ramp. It's actually a great position, and if the Zerg's trying to attack in there with the Engram and stuff, it's just a great blocker as well. So, I mean, damn, putting tech out at the outer bases, good job.
Good job, Shambler. Neblime just congratulated you, which is already funny. And then on top of it, for that, you know? I can't congratulate you yet. You haven't made a pylon.
Ooh, Storm drop. Storm drop? No, he could have denied it, but now it's seen, I think.
Yep.
I think he would have seen that. And it's kind of hard to make anything happen with just one Envoy and a Cantavis. Your opponent kind of has to not be looking. Although he's not positioning any defensive units. All he has is the Spray, which won't stop it. It'll just kill the Envoy. Oh my god, don't run into those! Oh.
Okay.
He didn't have to fly that way, you know?
He didn't, and it felt like he saw that happening, and it must have been playing in slow motion for him or something. We got Bactylisks on the way, so Kenoli going back to Old Faithful.
You know what that looked like? It was like he was pulling the
Oh, he did make a pylon, and now he's making a second one. Never mind, Shambler, you're not a fucker. At least not right now.
Yeah, in fact, that Arden couldn't go there without a pylon, I don't think. So yeah, he's on it. I think he wants to block that up more. Whereas Zerg has neglected to do that. I feel like it's a potential way this game could end if a bunch of units suddenly run into the natural, because those Droll are pretty much defended. It's a very small force that's going to stay there. Now, Zerg getting the classic sort of tier 1 army, a bunch of Hydras, Bactylus, Zeracors. Oh my god, he got that Hatchrusk?
Yeah, it was a bit of an unforced error from Kenoli. His hatch was over halfway done, and he canceled it because of the 3 melee units that were sent over there. It doesn't feel like it was enough to actually finish the job. But, you know, he's getting a pair of scribe kills at the third base, and a single zealot pinched off to deal with that threat. So they both scouted each other, and of course, in the case of Shambler, his cancel in the third was a lot better than what he had done than what Kenoli had been able to do. However, the army is starting to get a little bit scary. Storm doesn't really work super well, and neither do Idols, for that matter, against Bactylisks. Hydras, though, Claws, Iziricors, they all have to get into the attack range. Let's see how this battle plays out.
Oh, it's a great concave for Zerg, though. Double Storm's going down. These Hydras going to do a lot of damage. Oh, I don't know, man. This is looking pretty dangerous for Protoss, but the Idols are just doing so much splash damage. Can he actually power through? If he moves forward on top of those Backlists, I think he can take it, but no, instead he moves further away. I guess he doesn't have quite enough. Oh man, that was a great concave for Zerg. I wonder if Protoss just like immediately stepped forward, which sounds crazy. Would he have been able to win that fight?
He needed a little bit more spacing between the Cantavis and the Bactylisks, right? Try to close the gap. Obviously, right then and there, the Hydras went hunting for one, picked it, and then there was only one Storm, which was not enough. Now, Golem and a Cantor, though, that's a very different tactic, and you're absolutely going to be able to punch through. The Bactylisks now on the run, as the Cantavis were moments ago. Will they share a similar fate, I wonder, as the third base is now complete for Kenoli? No saturation on it just yet, and 10 Hydras in rotation. That's all he's got coming.
Bactylisks, faster than people think. They will be able to shuffle on away there. And Golem's a fairly slow unit. Yeah, I like the Golems. See, the Golem is a funny unit, right? They're always pretty good at tier 1, but it's so hard to afford a lot of them until later in the game we have like 4 bases and you're trying to make these gas-heavy units like, ah, shit, I need to get rid of the mineral. Let me make 5 lattices and just spam Golems, you know?
Yeah. Artisan spotted in the bottom left, so Shambler comfortably starting to play to his normal tactics. Another pylon. Shocking, earth-shattering.
A great job keeping up on the macro here, by the way. I really like how Shambler's economy's going, and he's keeping the money down as well. I was going to say, but we didn't have time because the action just started immediately. You know, this isn't your average Shambler. I feel like Shambler this tournament has kind of leveled up quite a bit, and I think we're seeing that now. It is his first Gauntlet, right? Because in Acropolis 1, he was 2nd place, and of course he was invited from Ascension, right?
Yep.
So this is his first time having to struggle through, but do we really doubt Shambler? I feel like he's got pretty good odds to get straight into battlements. He's been around for a long time, of course. He's has been one of the top players, so I definitely favor him in this series. And so far, it's looking pretty good. Although, a bunch of workers might fall down here.
Yeah, a little bit of a cheeky run by with the Hydra and the Iziricor. The Hydra helping to break down that Zealot before the Iziricor can be overwhelmed, and so that actually ends up being pretty significant as a choice of 4 units.
Ooh, he's doing quite a bit of damage here now, but I think the Easies will be cleaned up. The Matrix finish is going to end any damage.
Now, Shambler has not done any army rotation, and so this attack is still going to be tempered by the presence of all of Shambler's forces. Kenoli charging forward. You were talking about whether Shambler's favored in the series. I absolutely think so, even though he did lose 0-3 against Jack Yelensky in the Tribunal.
Well, Jack and Kenoli,
very different
player,
players. Yes, very different players.
Oh man,
and
that's
now
so
all the
golems
on top. Oh no!
Man, Hydras are pretty good against golems, but when you have enough golems, can they kind of handle anything? And they kind of are. He's getting closer. The Backlists have to retreat. They're too close. The Akantor's holding up the reinforcements. I think Shambler is crushing this army. And honestly, that might be game, because how is Kenoli going to stop this now? Oh my god. Huge engagement.
Yeah, pretty scary stuff. I do want to point out, Kenoli could have microed his Bactylisks onto the Idols in the back, and that would have been such a better move to reduce the DPS, while the Hydras tried to whittle down individual golems. Focus fire not there on either of the units, it felt like. It was more of an A-move fest. And, I mean, Shambler can afford to do that kind of thing, because his army doesn't necessarily need to focus down individual targets. Doing that against Zerg is always a little bit iffy, given the fact that they have so many units. But even here, right, you're using split attacks with the Iziricors to try to deal with golems. Good luck. You can see, he's now moving back and forth with the Iziricors. He knows they were healing the golems instead of helping. But I think it's not going to be enough. Yeah, GG.
Yeah, GG. Wow. Are they actually just a hindrance at that point?
No, impressive win from Shambler. And I do think, a lot of that was down to a bit of an awkward opening section for Kenoli, where he went hatch first. It was very close spawns, didn't necessarily favor him. He scouted super early too. We're still not sure why. But at the end of the day, he was at least able to get into a macro game, but it was an awkward one. And although he did take a really good fight in the middle of the map, where his flank and his concave, as you described, it was so good. You think about the way that Shambler, rallied after that. He already had his golems. He was good to go from the transition. Double Ardent. I think the second Ardent was a little bit misplaced in terms of unit pathing on the ground, since it was in the natural choke, basically. But still, ended up working wonders for him to produce lots of Acantors. He crushes through the army. Pretty solid stuff there from Shambler.
Yeah, I think it demonstrates the sort of difference between these players, because Kenoli had a lot of early game disorganization. And, Shambler is definitely not a player we've considered to be like a strong macro player in the past, but you can see he just sort of had an easier time keeping things on the rails, and he's constantly expanded the worker lead, where it feels like Kenoli was like struggling to adapt and didn't seem like, I don't want to say not solid, but sort of didn't seem super like well practiced, I guess, in what he was doing. And this is a rare sort of like macro style from Shambler, actually, where he just build up the idle count and got the tech and slowly overwhelmed even in a defensive manner. So I mean, I don't know, man, this is the new Shambler.
It is the new Shambler. Can you believe that this is what we are reduced to, watching Shambler play Protoss and playing it interestingly? Well, let's see if he can continue the stack here as he continues to move through this series. Kenoli is going to have his own map pick coming up as map number 2. And here we are in map number 2, Near Impact. Once again, it feels like it's map 2 in a lot of series. We do have Kenoli down 0-1. Will he be going for Hatch first again? I think so, because he's not harvesting Vespene. He is, of course, our Pumpkin Zerg in the bottom right. He's always Pumpkin, unless something goes horribly wrong and somebody else gets Pumpkin. The Shambler in the top left is our Brown Protoss. So check him out. Yeah, all right. What do you think, Nebline? What are your thoughts so far in the set?
Well, about what you just said, is it part of like the metagame if you can steal your opponent's color to throw them off?
Ayud did defeat Kenoli 3-0, and he also wants Pumpkin. And he got Pumpkin every game. Kenoli did not get Pumpkin a single game. So I'm just going to say, it's not necessarily that Ayud is a better player than Kenoli, but he definitely had the better color.
Well, about the series so far, I like it a lot for Shambler. Last game looked very solid, and he's even showing something different here, going Gateway, so he's not stuck on like idle mode only like that other series we saw. So going to show some versatility here. Once again, it's the Hatch first. Now, I do think it's sort of, not a mistake per se, but sort of a weakness of Shambler that he hasn't been able to punish this last game. He didn't finish him off, he just sort of did a little bit of damage, where I feel like Protoss needs to sort of kill Zerg here. Now, we'll see what he can do with Gateway as opposed to Lattice. Double Gateway coming up. Definitely can put a lot of pressure on, but I feel like on paper, Zerg is still holding this. We will see what the strat is. I have not played this out very much, to be honest, because most of the time my opponents are going Hatch first. I just built a Lattice instead. You know how that goes, so I don't know.
Well, you 6 Lattice them, and then they just rage quit? Yeah.
Basically. I don't know the full like layout of this particular like sort of matchup of builds, right? But again, I feel like on balance Zerg is holding, and I think Protoss in a tough position, but anything can happen.
Yeah, I think the advantage of Hatch first, especially specifically low ground Hatch first, isn't necessarily that you get the extra Vespene faster. You do, but I feel like there's a scaling agent to how soon that is useful. What helps, I think, a lot for Zerg is that they are no longer contained on their one base, right? They have the freedom to move around the map, to establish defenses on the low ground by the choke. There's just a lot more that they have possible. And with Zealot into Mass Hierophant here for Shambler, well, Mass is double Hierophant, it feels like this is going to be late enough activating that, yeah, there are already going to be Quasi units out, specifically pool units out, right? The Zethracore is already coming out in full force, and so it's going to be hard for Shambler to immediately punish this, at least on its face.
Yeah, well, Kenoli's sort of playing into Shambler's hands, they're not immediately going for Circus. The Hierophants are good at disabling a single Circus, yes, but when there's lots of Circus, what you really want is Dracodons, either that or like a whole bunch of Zealot Ecclesias. So the fact that Kenoli's getting none, though, Hierophants are very good at just dealing with Cause units in a fight, right? They're extremely strong at disabling those Zeths as long as they're not outnumbered. Looks like Shambler's going to go for an expansion of his own, by the way. And, I don't mind this super much. Presumably... Oh, get out of there.
Yeah, I was going to say, that could have been some nice little anti-timing. Goes for the surround on the Hierophant. It's so close to death, but we know. We've seen enough times Hamster chasing Neblime's Hierophant forever and never getting it. That we, at this point, I think all Zergs have had that shared trauma, and they know not to chase the Hierophant. They go after the Ecclesiast instead. If that Nexus had been put down, like, 1 second earlier, I think Shambler would have been forced to cancel it because Kenoli would have just jumped on it. And so it's a little bit of saving on the money. Obviously, it doesn't lose any units, but a little bit of pressure. And now Kenoli will go for the defensive moves. Kagrin at the front line by the natural, and so he's going to slowly draw up.
Well, if Shambler doesn't move across, he's definitely going to be behind, I think, assuming Kenoli can macro well. Because, like, Zerg's already only 5 workers behind, he's going to get more Larbox up. He's just going to have a lot more worker production than Protoss possibly can, so you do need to put pressure here. I was going to say I don't mind it for Shambler because you can get the expand and slow Zerg down by attacking, but it looks like he's intent to stay home. Bit scared of like Zeph 4 maybe. But I was going to say about the Hierophants as well. We know Shambler is a proponent of them because I do love recalling this one incident, right, where I was playing versus Hapser when I was Zerg, and he's saying like, "Oh, there's nothing you can do against Quads. Quads are too strong." And Shambler was spectating. He's like, "Let me try." And he comes in and just makes like 4 Hierophants, kills like 30 of my Quads, just microing them. And it's like, oh, okay. So he's definitely up on the micro with those, and it was very nice losing on a single unit in that attack. Is he bold enough to attack, though? I feel like he's been mind-gamed a bit, where he's worried about Kenoli attacking, but Kenoli's just happily macroing back home.
Yeah, I wonder what his thought process is. I mean, knowing Shambler, he probably also just thinks I'm fine here, but we can see that the worker advantage now goes to the Zerg. Ardent Authority very quickly here for Shambler is one saving grace of his build order. Of course, he's going to be slowly saturating that natural as well, but, you know, Kenoli already up to a nice little spot, and this does actually, like, the one thing where the hatch first denigrators, if you want to call them that, the malcontents are wrong about is that they say it doesn't spike your economy fast enough to be worth it. I don't think it spikes your economy to the same degree that hatch first in Zerg and StarCraft 1 does, because you immediately just make workers there and they're more efficient than the workers in your main base. But because you have so much larva in the early game now with Larvosks and etc., you actually can just spam a bunch of workers and have a much faster saturated natural before your opponent does, and before any other race could. And so I do think that it actually does spike your eco, but will Kenoli use it to his advantage? That remains to be seen. You said earlier, a lot of this depends on whether Kenoli can macro well. That is a bold thing to assume because we have seen him float lots of money. It's, it sucks to say because I want everybody to have a good time and succeed, but Kenoli definitely needs to work on spending that cash. He's already about 1,000 minerals.
Well, we can look at it this way, right? Players do have strengths and weaknesses. Kenoli definitely has his strengths, having qualified in last Acropolis, right?
They made it all the way to the throne room stage, man. Almost hit him up in a ZVZ, like, on this very map, of course, so...
Yeah, absolutely. But late game macro is not one of his strengths, right? He's better at sort of early game tactics. And I gotta say, opening-wise, I feel like he does a pretty good job. Maybe not in the execution, but in like the selection and strategy of it, I think he does well. Now, he has a big Quaz army out here, but I feel like Shambler's army is a match for this. A whole bunch of Vorvs being made. Is it too many Vorvs? Because at some point you need Zeph to DPS, but you can make more Zephs. With that many Vorvs, maybe it's not enough. Shambler not with a very blocking SimCity here, surprisingly. No gateway to block there. It's a lot of Draconids. Now, the Akantor is going to be almost unassailable for Quaz units, but it's a little bit out of position. Can it get there in time? Oh my god, it's a lot of Vorvs, though.
The Akantor shot does come down and connect. That's 3 kills immediately. They are assailing this static defense. It's not really a focused attack here from Kenoli. Has he even killed that much? He does break down the embassy, goes after some of the static defense, including the bulwark. It's already down. That warden not canceled. Certainly damage dealt here, and a lot of this was just mineral only. Obviously, all of these units only requiring minerals. More Zethicor screaming on him, but he gets almost no eco damage and almost burns all the shields on the Nexus. That's not a good target at all.
You know what? The worst thing about this is he didn't kill hardly any army. So now Shannon's like, all right then, here I come. What have you got? And he's had so many lava. He starts making Hydralisks at least. At least it's not Quaz units.
Yeah, 13 Hydras could potentially hold this off, but the question really is, are you going to be in an advantaged position? You know, there's no opportunity for you to flank around your own static defense if you're trapped in your natural.
You know, and that was a pretty scary attack, right, on the face of it. But we can see Shambler's, like, experience. He had that nice position of his army on the ramp. Even without the Akantor, I think he still holds, by the way. So he was prepared for it, if not, like, explicitly. He was making measures to be ready for that kind of thing. And now, he's going to come and have a look, but he sees his defenses are pretty strong. He needs the Akantor, which is taking its sweet time getting across the map. Oh, he turns around.
Kill a couple of Ecclesias around it or something. Come on now. Sacrifice for the poor
Is that actually a strat, I wonder? You build them like a bunch of candles up at home and just sacrifice your way across the map.
Yeah, well, say I did do it against Newt one time with Vassals. It was pretty interesting. But...
Did it work?
It was just Vassals chasing Wraiths. It was pretty slick.
Oh, I mean...
It was a highlight of a match, but it wasn't actually, like, super impactful.
I mean, as you see, I've had fights where I killed my own Ecclesias trying to catch stuff, but it's always kind of like, was it really worth it?
Right, yeah. It does make you ask that. But sometimes positioning matters more than having one more unit. Shambler, though, has 3 Acantors. That is a lot. A 4th one almost complete. A 2nd Ardent on the way. He's quickly, assuming this position where he's just going to be really hard to defeat, hard to uproot, unless you've got really solid air switch or something. And Kenoli has been known as a bit of a Gorg maker, but right now he looks like he's setting up for some kind of Iziracore drop. He's got double Avaleth.
Surprised you say that, because he's been so hesitant to make his Orcas in this.
I know,
yeah. on the way. Shambler going to get a 3rd to match. Again, though, if bases are equal and workers are high, I'm just favoring Zerg more and more. That said, he has not adequately saturated the 2 bases he has, especially not when it comes to gas. So, I don't know. If Kenoli just doesn't make proper use of his bases, then Shambler will continue to have an advantage. Now, the defenses are strong in the main. I don't think this drop is going to get much done. It is a zero course, so he's going to go for the scribes. I mean, if Shambler's not paying attention, they run on and kill the scribes before they can pull, maybe. But if Shambler's looking and he just pulls away, oh no. Are you looking at the same thing I'm looking at?
There's a trapped Cantor. That is so brutal. I can't believe. Ah, Shambler. What have you done? Now, the worst thing is if he breaks his Warden, but he doesn't. He goes after the gateway instead. I feel like that's actually worse. Anyway, the bottom line is if he broke those 2 Wardens and then the drop came, that would have been such a mess. Now, he's distracted by this. He's really hoisted himself here. There's a lot of Hydras that are going to get blown up by those Acantors on the ramp, but the Izira cores going after the workers, forcing an evacuation as the drop comes in. But the first one doesn't unload.
Well, this might still get a lot of kills, though. They're pretty concentrated. Only 2 left. They are getting cleaned up pretty quickly. Ooh, no. And this is a disaster for Kenoli, actually.
He lost his whole army. He's got 1 Hydra left.
It looked like he might be cooking, but it did not work out.
It burned.
Shambler was pretty well prepared, to be honest. He's going, do I GG or not?
Yeah, I don't know.
Man.
That was certainly interesting. Maybe he was doing that because he saw the gateway getting attacked or something. I don't know. It's cheeky. It's cheeky. But Shambler definitely in the driver's seat now. You talked about saturation. Yeah, the ridge is still not being mined. Only 12 workers on minerals in the natural. Big transfer of workers coming in for that 3rd base, but he's got no military units and no Bactylisks either. His ski back was made, but he never turned anything in him.
After he lost the fight, he queued 21 draw left, which I think is a pretty clear mistake.
Yes.
Imagine if he had 21 Skifter cores right now. I think he'd actually clear this army, maybe. Maybe not. But still, would be better than 21 draw left. He's making the Hydras, and Shambler being a bit hesitant, trying to wait for his Akedo support, but they're so goddamn slow. I don't think Kenoli's going to do much with a burrow ambush here, but he's thinking about it. Can Kenoli have time to build up again?
He needs Bactyls. That's what he needs right now. If he's going to try to hold this army off, he needs a lot of Izira cores and a lot of Bactylisks, and he just doesn't have a lot of time to make any of those happen. He's going to morph them, but they're in open ground, man.
Needs to get back to that Khazitrif. Oh, Shambler does not realize which 3rd he has, though. Oh, now he sees the eggs, though. He's going to pounce on those.
Absolutely. You got to cancel those, man. You got to cancel them. Okay, he does. But again, where's the time? Izira core's unburrowing at both locations and coming on down. They're going to accept lots of plasma shells with open arms and open tails, for that matter. Still, the Hydra count doing work versus the rest of the army. The Acantors were not in place, but now they are, and they're wiping through the front line like nothing.
Yeah, man. 4 Acantors with no Backlist or anything else long range. That is tough to deal with. Of course, he's going to have to use Acantors here. There's no way you're getting in there normally. The Backlist, no! Wow, those Acantors missed a lot of shots there. But how are you going to stop this now? This is a real problem. No Backlist still in the back here.
Well, Static Defense are having a fun time clearing Dracodons and Hierophants, so...
Look at the dodge.
I know, yeah. He's trying.
Oh, no, there's so many of them. Look, there's so many shells coming out. Like, how do you even go in that area? Oh, he burrows the draw left.
You guys played UMS? You guys played bound maps? This is what you got to do. You got to dodge.
Well, is Kenoli a bound map expert? I don't know, man. He's taking him out. He's going to get all the Acantors.
Yeah, there's only 2 left.
Right
yeah, that's 5 Acantors down the drain. Of course, there's more crawling across the map very slowly.
Oh, man. Is he going to be able to hold? That'd be crazy.
The problem is he wasn't mining from his 3rd this entire time, and the hatch is actually going to go down, and he's not going to be able to stop it in time. That is critical.
Or is he? Focus. There you go. Get that draw left. Yep, it doesn't count as a kill unless you get that draw left.
Yes, that's right. They just remorph it. Reinforcements coming in from the back, and there's nothing to defend these Bactylisks. Well, the Izira cores are back in action. I don't think that you can really focus this down, but that is so heartbreaking for Kenoli to lose that hatch after all that time. Just a 3 Drax.
Yeah, I mean, it was very smart of Shambler to assign those over there. Now Shambler's in a bit of trouble, though. If he loses the Cantors again, he might actually be in danger. Let's see what kind of fight Kenoli can get. He's doing his best to micro, but takes big hits, unfortunately, in the south. Bactylisk's going to start doing damage. Servitor, unfortunately, are very helpless when it comes to Bactylisk.
Well, when they die, they speed the Acanthors up, so it's kind of deadly.
It's the plan, I guess. Double prostration stage behind this. A couple pariahs start coming out, then Shambler's really looking good, because neither Izira cores nor Hydras nor Bactylisk can really deal with pariahs.
Yeah, that's triple Ardent, and now he's got double tier 3 structures coming on the way. He built so many pylons. Look at him. What a guy. Third base being reestablished, by the way. There's a second pariah queue set up.
Like a bunch of skiffs to fly in or something and depower him, maybe, is his concern?
Yeah, the double pylon, that's like a redundancy measure. It makes a lot of sense. Although right now, at the third base, he's actually clogged up that secondary ramp, and he's going to go for a fourth. This is very well timed as he shut down Kenoli's third. Yeah. And there's no workers there just yet, so Kenoli definitely back against the wall on his map pick.
Well, I do still like Kenoli's army until a bunch of pariahs are out, which are on the way. I feel like the Acantors can actually be handled. There's so many Acantors. What the... Oh my god.
Yes, he's got a dozen Acantors.
Alright, well at this point Kenoli needs to make Backlist and no other unit, because any other unit is just going to be a waste. Like, oh god, how do you even get
I think he needs Dwarves to deal with the Pariahs, but even then they kind of die very fast, don't they? I'm just thinking the armor end.
Yeah. Well, what can you do? Because anything that gets close to the like field of Acantor shells is just going to kill everything.
Nathracores. If you go Nathracores, you can run the armor. Still, they die even faster to Pariahs.
Yeah, the Pariahs. Oh god, he sees what he's up against.
What do you even do when you see that? You need Mass Muta or something, brother. Good luck.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think there is any way at Tier 1 to deal with this. Well, maybe Gorgs.
I mean, that's kind of how it should be if you consider this is Tier 3 and Tier 2 mixed in such a tremendous fashion here. Very expensive stuff for Shambler. You can see his production tab stretching across the map and only 16 IC cores on the way for Kenoli. He's starting to add a couple of Bactylisks in the meanwhile, but all most he can do is maybe pressure this newly minted Nexus. It feels like that. Even that's not going to be possible.
Kenoli with a glorious spread here, but I feel like it doesn't matter how good his engagement is, how good his army is. Yeah. There's just too many Acantors, man. He's going to come barreling down the center, and there's not enough to really stop these Pariahs now, but the Acantors are out on their own. If he can pounce on them from all sides, he may be able to actually do something here.
Descending from the top.
Oh, they're getting so many hits, though. Oh.
Yeah, the shells are glorious, man. You cannot deal with that. The Pariahs holding back a flank of Bactylisks all unto themselves. Iziracore screwing on in. There were 16 of them queued up. We saw them earlier, but that's not nearly enough. And the Protoss mulches them down. Shambler on track to go up to 2-0.
GG. Yeah, he won on every front there.
Yep. Yeah, that's when you see just like a small spattering of units being used there at the end to flank, it does feel like, are we sure we should charge? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, right. But I mean, Shambler's had an insane army at that point. Not much you can do. Again, very impressive sort of steady macro play for Shambler. Not what we're used to seeing, but he's making it look real good.
Yeah, so far so good, and we've got at least one map ahead of us if Shambler dismisses Kenoli 3-0. I guess you could say that is the expected result, but I'm also, I guess, cautiously optimistic that maybe Kenoli can take a game. But you're right, Shambler has looked very solid. Let's see, is it hatch first all 3 games? We'll find out in game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenoli is once again down 0-2. And he needs to come back in a big way. He is our Pumpkin Zerg in the top right of Brainstorm. And the Shambler picked this map. Our Black Protoss in the bottom left. Let's see what he's thinking, because he's scouting pretty early here and Kenoli not harvesting gas. This looks to me like another hatch first.
Well, it has worked out for him so far. It's not like he lost the games because he went hatch first. As far as I'm concerned, the hatch first part of it went fine. And you know what? On this map, you have more of an incentive, right? With no ramp. That's not a hatch. He's going to scout first, and then he's going to get the hatch.
I guess so, yeah.
But I feel like you have more of an incentive, right? Because you want to get the Cabra there and get your Circus up to defend. Not that Zerg has to have a ramp to defend, but obviously it makes it harder with that one. Oh, I like that, the dodge of the block, because this is an adaptation from Shambler, actually. I think Shambler is looking for it to try and block it, but nope, not today.
I thought it would have been really funny if Shambler did block it, but now he's scouted, he doesn't seen the Drolet there, and so, yeah. You know, Kenoli's pretty good at crafty plays, thinking like what his opponent might see and trying to shadow box around it. In that, I feel like him and I have a bit of a shared strength, where that's something that I do a lot. But much like me, he struggles on the money spending part and, you know, the game playing part. You know, he plays the mental game, I think, quite well with his traps and stuff. Tactically, is very interesting, but the mechanics aren't always there. That's what I've noticed about Kenoli's play.
And, you know, I liked the sort of drop and attack at natural he was doing there conceptually. It just... it was a disaster in practice, unfortunately. Because, you know, it makes sense in Brood War. You dangle your army somewhere while you're harassing so your opponent doesn't notice, and then boom, you kill a bunch of stuff. Because even, like, the best harassing units there are, if the workers just keep running away, it's very hard to actually do anything. Mm-hmm. But you're only one player in Brood War. You can only be in one place at once. So that's how you make it happen. But unfortunately, Shambler has been very prepared, and he's just showing his sort of experience, even though he's sort of, I wouldn't say new to Protoss, because, you know, he's been playing all races for a long time, but, you know, newly focusing on Protoss. It doesn't really matter. He just has that sort of depth of experience that he's used to any situation.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say. He's played the game for so long, right? And so he has made 2 gates. He's holding his money though. Looks like he wants to go for something. No, now queuing up a single Zealot. I wonder what he's doing. Maybe he's thinking about a Zealot or a Nexus or something after this. I'm curious.
I think he wants a Grand Library, but he just doesn't have the gas. I think that's what he's thinking. Or a Nexus. Yeah, okay, it's going to be a Nexus. I would have liked a Grand Library a lot more, but you can try and play with a Nexus. I just think anytime you're expanding to match Zerg, you're playing a very dangerous game and you could easily just lose. But he's going to try it.
Well, Kenoli hasn't made too many workers, right? It's a very big military push here, kind of reminiscent of how Near Impact opened up, where he sent those extra Zeths across the map. Shambler going to try to plug the choke point with a Legionnaire and a Zealot. I know which one I would target with Quasilis. There's a second Zealot already out, and the Hierophant not long behind it.
Hierophant doesn't have enough range to really defend this. There you go. The Zealot swaps out just in time.
That's clutch. Now you got to walk around, buddy.
What did he even make the Legionnaire for, though? What is the Legionnaire's purpose in life? Well, he's going to scout, I guess.
He looks kind of cool. He gets called a Purifier sometimes.
Yeah, he's very pure of heart. Oh, he runs into the wall, just smack into it. Now he's stuck.
I must take a look at this, assess this forward
technology.
technology.
He didn't notice the Zerg because he's just reading some like Terran branding on there. Yeah. Okay, he does pull back. Again, Shambler has handily enough units to defend this, I think. I don't want that Legionnaire to die. Oh, hang on, the flank coming from the choke again. He moved out at just the wrong time. Again, I think Shambler has enough, and it's not like the Nexus will be able to be killed here, so this is okay. Nice micro so far.
Well, he does end up losing that fabled Legionnaire, but yeah, the Hierophants are a little bit too powerful for Kenoli to contend with pure Quas.
They're tearing him apart, man. He does get a Scribe, which is lucky that Shambler happened to rally them to that exact spot, but
yeah, it's a funky rally.
Look, man, the Legionnaire was never going to make it. I had no hope.
Listen, Kenoli has a couple more workers than his opponent, but no military. So.
Yeah, but Shambler has been a bit lax on putting on the pressure. I don't think he realizes that this is the time to go and lean on Zerg. And I think Kenoli's going to be fine now, just because Shambler didn't immediately move across. If he was at Kenoli's base right now, what the hell is Kenoli going to do? Even if he'd made all Zephs, the Hierophants can handle that. 4 Hierophants, they can handle an awful lot of Zephs, you know. Especially with Zealot support. They actually give an insane amount of help there. But as it is, he stays home. Hierophant's not a very good defensive unit, I will say.
Ardent Authority at the Natural. On this map, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. He's got to get those Cantors out there. They cannot fit through the gap, though, I don't think.
I can't remember. They might be able to. Because unlike in StarCraft 1, vultures and such can fit through there, right? I don't think they could.
Vultures can fit through that? There's no way.
Yeah.
Nah, no way. I don't think they can.
The only unit they can't fit, I think, that's like going to be potentially made in this matchup would be the Pariah and the Criminalisk and stuff like that, right? Demiurge.
I don't know. I really thought... No, don't be silly now. I know, like, even Vibrances can't get through. It's not that big.
I think maybe the Vibrance can't, but Asiliant can.
It cannot. I have used it.
Okay.
And I was very dismayed that it could not. Well, let's see about this Cantor. Yeah, alright, maybe you're right. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I've seen them walk through there before, so we'll see.
Kenoli needs to be careful, man. I've heard these armies could get pounced on, absolutely smashed.
Yep, it's not much of an army either. It's pure Quas. He's getting some Hydras now, and Shambler's retaken the worker lead. Kenoli focusing much more on just getting more military units out there. I have noticed neither of our players really like gas capping the ridge.
Haven't seen it at all, I don't think.
Yep.
Well, to be fair, Kenoli hasn't needed more gas. He's sort of had trouble spending the gas he had in some of these games. Actually, Shambler too, even though he's making only like idols and Cantavas somehow.
Yes.
I wish Shambler moved out on the map. I feel like he could have got a lot done now. Now Zerg's made a pretty sizable army. Presumably will boost up the workers at some point, unless he's planning on trying to attack into here, which I think would be a mistake. But Shambler is obligingly going up the ramp. Zealot's very nicely positioned to deny those Quas. Those Quas will take forever to get through there.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a little awkward. Kenoli is going to slowly chip away at the Zealots. Good pullback from Shambler.
Back.
Yeah. Oh, no. No, stop reading the treasuries. Now they go away.
Yeah, man, those treasuries are killer. You got to deal with those, or they will kill you.
Yeah.
Now Shambler's looking very deadly, and Kenoli has not drolled up because he was thinking just to go with like some kind of like 2-base attack. He did not really even have the production to run like an all-in. And now what has he got? He's got Zeph Hydra against the Acantors.
Listen, Hydras can be pretty deadly to the Acantor, but the problem is they need to chew through everything else first. Unless Shambler obliges him with some nice little movement there to let the Acantor out. Kind of scrape him out.
He needs to kill these treasuries, man. Just do it, Shambler, please.
No, he's going to keep them all. His next Legionnaire will read them, too. Second Ardent Authority, halfway complete. No tier 3 structure in the cards just yet. Shambler probably wants to wait for his third base for that.
Kenoli finally takes his foot off the gas and starts setting some draw left, but I think it's a bit late. He's in a very disadvantaged position. Look at this defense. The cannon's positioned just right, so you can't really get in there without getting shot a hell of a lot. And the Acantor on the choke as well. Kenoli needs to stop this right now. He's going to throw away a lot of units if he's not careful. Okay, he does pull back.
Yeah, he only lost his Zeths and his Quas to clear those 2 Zealots, so at least he knows that's open for run-bys unless it's restocked, which he has no reason to believe Shambler wouldn't. A bunch of pylons to add more, walking space, a little bit of his own path blocker.
Oh. I like it. I want to see the meta where you make massive pylon walls. I feel like it could be a thing. Because Protoss at some points of the game does tend to have a big mineral bank. It's ski-backed again, by the way. That seems
to be the
shroud
only this whole game, yeah.
Again, yeah, Lakisalis in game 1 at least would have been devastating. Against these Acantors, I'm not so sure. I do think he could get a lot of mileage out of a mass skiff switch. Because you look at this Protoss army, the anti-air is not very good at all.
One thing to point out, Kenoli has 7 Droleths by that treasury in his side.
Oh, I am so dumb.
You never tried this? You never even thought about that?
It's so obvious now. Like, obviously, we're using neutral transcenders for so long, but I'm like, no, I better destroy these and build a Nexus here. Oh my god, I am so dumb.
Well, Kenoli showing us all what's going on here. We do have Gateway, Embassy, and second gate. Yeah, so 2 gates, 2 embassies, and a whole bunch of static defense being put up here. And Kenoli might opt into attacking into this position, but he's only got Hydras and some Iziracors.
Yeah, dude, this is the Great Wall of Protoss. He's not getting past this. There's just no way. The Acantos with the range to ward this off. He beat down the temple, so he has better pathfinding.
He's attacking his own gateway.
His own gate.
Why is he helping him? Traitors! Well, those zealots are going to be vagrants.
Okay, he's going to hold, though. Like, he's not getting through this wall.
Yeah.
It was a very overconfident attack from Kenoli. I feel like as soon as you see that SimCity, you're like, okay, you know what? I'm out of here. But no, oh, okay. I was going to say, he better do something with all this gas. I would have loved mass skiff, but tier 2 is fine as well. You get a lot of Convolisks or Vilgoricors with that gas.
Yeah, can we extend the series, right? Is Kenoli going to be able to bring us to the promised land? A 3rd Ardent Authority is already on the way. And you know what? I think, Neblime, we can finally say Brainstorm gave us a fun game, right? I mean, we're only 9 minutes in, but...
Yeah, best game of the series so far. These units around top left are looking dangerous for a flank. This 3rd base is perennially undefended right from that side. It's a constant threat. Although, I don't know if he had to send his entire army, but we'll see what he can get done here. If it gets cut off and can't retreat, it will be a loss, but he's probably going to kill all the scribes at least.
Yep, force our pull immediately. How fast is Shambler on the draw? He's busy building static defense at the other flank, and that's not where they're coming in. That Ardent Authority could end up being a pretty big time waster for Kenoli.
Yeah. But losing it also sucks, to be fair.
Yeah. Transferring him over to the ridges, he'll harvest.
Oh my god, he's just running all the way in. He's just going all the way in. What's
he doing? There's so many Acantors, he can't do that.
Okay, he pulls back with some, but there's some Iziracors lost behind enemy lines, going to get absolutely cleaned up. Well, look, he's disrupting Shambler, but he does not have the economy to be doing this. He's so low on workers. And Shambler's like, you know what? No, I'm going to attack.
Yeah, no kidding. The 3rd is going to fall, but look at what cost. There's nothing here for Kenoli. He's got 13 Hydras, and that's it. He might be able to chew him up in the middle of this choke, but look, he's not responding.
Okay, here he comes. Here he comes. You know, without the Acantors assisting, it's actually enough, I think,
They're stuck. They were on an attack move, and they weren't retargeted afterwards. They killed whatever structure they were supposed to be moving towards. Oh, Shambler.
Kenoli did take out a bunch of scribes by the way that had retreated to the ridge. He did finish off, but he does clean up the attackers. So you know what? This restores Kenoli to more parity. He really needs to get more draw left, man. I don't know what else to say. He's on 48 with like sort of 2.5 bases. It's pretty low.
That's Shambler. Kenoli's only got 35. He's definitely lagging behind.
Right,
he lost a lot in his natural.
Well, hang on. He might not have time. The Acantors are here, and you know what, Pranogo, you were right. They can absolutely fit through there. Oh, what's he going to do now? Oh, there's no time for tier 2. He's got a Spire. Hang on. The mass muta switch. Can he pull this off? There's no anti-air here. I think he's going to clean this army up, but is there time? Shambler's doing so much damage. He's going to take that Hatros for sure. Oh my god, there's so many Acantors.
Well, there's 20 mutas up, so those Acantors will just die immediately. There's 5 of them there, it looks like, and he's only got, what, 4 Dracodons? That's not going to be nearly enough.
Oh my god. Shambler, seeing this, is probably having a heart attack right now.
Yeah, the bounces are going to hit a lot of those Acantors, but the Dracodons are not able to kill more than a single muta. Yeah, there's scribe. It's the battle worker.
Ah, right, of course.
Streaming Zealots over to the would-be third base. There's some distance mining going on. So that's
going to be huge.
Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be a huge deal because either he has pullback to defend it or he's losing a lot of workers. Now, the counterattack's going to be devastating here because Shambler has no true defenses. He's not even starting the positrons yet. What has he got? He's starting to build an engram, but that will not be done. No, he pulls back though. See, this is the problem. He gave Kenoli this dilemma. Either you take damage as well or you can't hurt me. And he does pull back and he's only got the one base effectively now.
Well, 8 more mutas have been made. He scouts the recommit. That's those Zealots ending up doing a lot of damage. And Shambler's showing us this is what you do. He's got a witness in the base as well. So the Zealots that are moving on through to the natural, they have to be defended. And Kenoli has nothing in production, no static defense.
This is a great move. It's a very base brute war kind of play. Oh, look at this. The engram finished in time, but there's so many of them. Does it even matter? And he's going to clean the probes
very well. Look at that. The engram hitting the stuff in the bottom, but it's definitely enough that, look, the shields are gone already. It's taking hull damage. If Kenoli just focuses it down, he can do a lot here.
Does he even care? He got what he wanted. He killed all the scribes, man, and he's out. It's like, all right, see you later. But in his main, the 4 Zealots, there's so many eggs there, double turns into the Zephs. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's only 12.
Nice
yeah.
drill.
Oh, the drill's going to help out a little bit, but Zealots take forever to kill with pure worker. You are just never going to do it.
Well, he's buying time, though, for the Zephs to morph. All the Mutalisks to get back. These Mutalisks just going back and forth.
It's Muta Zeph versus Zealot. Dude, this is StarCraft 1 right now.
Yeah, man. If you move up the screen so you can't see the Iris, you can sort of pretend it's just Brood War. Yeah, that's a lot of workers for one base.
It sure is, and they can start harvesting from the neutral base as well. A Servitor getting got. There's a couple of Zealots here out in the rotation.
Where are the Positrons? Does he not know? Does he not know Positrons exist? It's the perfect unit here. I feel like Shambler might lose because he doesn't have any splash except for engrams, which can be dealt with potentially, but he's very clustered right now.
No, he's clustered up. Yeah, that's a lot of splash damage. Takes 2 engram shots. He's found some Acantors. That's very important because Shambler could just move across the map and kill him with the anti-ground army, but he doesn't realize that yet.
Oh. Engram.
Shellacking. Kenoli's giving it to him. Kenoli is giving it to him, and Zealots have strewn into the main base again. Only 5 mutas moving across the map.
He's going to lose the entire Mutaswarm, which is all he had. I think this is game. I think Shambler's managed to hold on despite the chaos. He does still have his 3 Nexuses up. Although he has a very low worker count now, he will be able to recover. And his army is getting insurmountable now that Mutalisks are dead. Oh man, the harass though. Kenoli getting a lot of work done.
Yeah, mutas actually are very, very good versus workers. People obviously kind of malign them as a fighting unit, and for good reason. They aren't super good there by themselves, but if you get them into a worker line unprotected, oof, it's going to be rough. It's going to be difficult.
I would love to see him, I'd love to see him kill all these treasuries, then he has to make a Hatcheros, which he's going to do now. The scribes here, they're ready.
Yep. That's right. A couple scribes to help out. Hydras are seeing this in action. Now they'll pounce. This is still a respectable Zerg army. You know, this kind of reminds me of a game on Demaloon where Kenoli just never remade his natural after it was blown up. And it might have even been against Shambler, though I can't quite recall.
Ooh,
now, he's fighting himself. Those shell connections are so big.
Yeah, it's just too much stuff. GG.
That's a wrap. Shambler qualifies in. It was a beleaguered series against Mr. Kenoli in PVZ fashion. Shambler will make it into the battlement stage. I didn't have a doubt that he would make it in. I know that people have been saying, yeah, we rebrand clan ass when Shambler doesn't make it through the gauntlet. You're going to have to wait another season, ladies and gentlemen. It's not there yet. And, you know, he would have had 2 more chances after this anyway, even if he had been felled. So congrats to Shambler for making it in. Kenoli did show us some nice fight, and I think Zergs with better mechanics will be able to use some of the ideas that he's putting out there. Whether they stand the test of time, well, that always remains to be decided. But yeah, very fun set. What do you think, Nebline?
Yeah, that was a crazy last game. We got the roller coaster ride for the last game, although I feel like the first 2, Shambler just sort of slowly dominated. And yeah, he's showing his strength here, and it would feel wrong if we had Acropolis without Shambler. You know, he's a fixture in there. I say this as a member of the Anti-Shambler Society. Who would we have as our villain if he didn't make it in, you know?
That's right. That's right. It helps everybody for Shambler to make it in, I suppose. Except for YouTube monetization staff. Besides that, though, everybody all good. So, yeah, that's. I mean, honestly, that last game very cool. Glad to see Brainstorm had some value in the end, and I do think that now that Nebline knows you can harvest there, I mean, it may improve the game. You learned a lot about Brainstorm. Actually, you learned that Acantors can fit through the middle part, and you learned that you can return to the treasuries. So I think maybe it improves by like 1% in your mind. You know, I don't know. But Maybe you'll veto check sealer first instead. Yeah.
I still don't want to play on it, but if I do, I'll play better.
There you go. See, that's the silver lining. Ladies and gentlemen, big thanks to Nebline for joining me for the cast. And of course, big shout out to all the players who participated in Gauntlet Stage A. Gauntlet Stage B is ongoing. You can, of course, check for spoilers if you want to be spoiled. I'll be casting some of those upper matches and, of course, the qualifiers with Nebline if availability aligns. And thanks for checking out this video and joining Cause Monarchy's epic community in the Discord server. We'll catch you guys later on for more GGs.